Get out, both of you. Right now. My voice was deadly calm, but my hands were shaking as I pointed to the open front door. My father, a man I had spent my entire youth worshipping, looked at me with a mix of fear and confusion. My older sister Sarah was sitting on the couch wrapped in a cashmere blanket, pretending to look frail. Honey, please, my dad stammered, trying to step toward me. You're upsetting your sister. You know, stress makes her condition worse. She could have a flare-up. A flare-up? I laughed. It was a dry, bitter sound. Is that what we're calling a hangover now, Dad? Sarah's eyes went wide. She dropped the act instantly, sitting up straighter. How dare you? I am fighting for my life here. And you are. I didn't let her finish. I threw a heavy stack of papers onto the coffee table. They landed with a loud thud, sliding across the surface and knocking over her expensive herbal tea. Drop the axe, Sarah! I screamed, finally losing my composure. I know about the investment. I know about the gambling. And I know that the only thing you're sick with is a gambling addiction and a complete lack of a soul. My mother, who was in the kitchen making soup for her dying daughter, ran into the room looking terrified. My little brother Leo stood on the stairs watching with wide eyes. Mum, don't interfere, I warned her without looking away from my father. Dad and Sarah have 5 minutes to pack their bags and leave this house. The house I pay for. The house I worked 3 jobs to keep over our heads while they played casino games with my life. You can't do this, Sarah shrieked, her voice suddenly very strong and healthy. I'm sick. You're not sick, I roared. You're broke, and you used me as your personal bank account for 10 years to cover up your stupidity. To understand why I kicked my own father and sister onto the street in the middle of winter, you have to go back to the day my life ended. Or at least, the day they stole it from me. It was 10 years ago. I was 22, fresh out of college, full of dreams. I had a boyfriend I loved, and we were planning to move to the city together. I was going to be a graphic designer. I was happy. Then came the family meeting. We all sat around the dining table. The mood was somber. My dad held my mum's hand. Sarah, who was 24 at the time, looked pale and tragic. We have bad news, Dad said, his voice cracking. Sarah ... Sarah is very sick. He threw around big medical words. A rare autoimmune disorder. Aggressive. Lethal if not treated immediately. But the treatment wasn't covered by insurance. It was experimental. It cost thousands of dollars a month. We have to sell the house, Dad said, tears streaming down his face. It's the only way to pay for the first round of treatments. We're going to be renting a small apartment. We need to tighten our belts. My heart broke for my sister. I loved her. I looked at her, and she gave me a weak, brave smile. I'm scared, sis, she whispered. That was the moment I fell into the trap. You don't have to sell the house, I said impulsively. I can help. I'll get a job. I'll get 2 jobs. We can make this work. Dad looked at me with those puppy dog eyes. Are you sure, honey? It means you can't move out. You'd have to stay here and contribute everything you make. It's not fair to you. It's family, I said. I'll do whatever it takes. And I did. I broke up with my boyfriend that night because I couldn't ask him to wait for me while I drowned in family debt. I turned down the design job in the city. Instead, I took a double shift as a waitress at a diner and a night shift stocking shelves at a grocery store. For 10 years, that was my life. I woke up at 5 a.m., worked until 11 p.m., and came home to find my parents and Sarah huddled together. How is she? I would ask, handing over my entire paycheck to my dad. It's a good day, Dad would say solemnly, pocketing the cash. The new medication is expensive, but it's keeping her stable. You're saving her life, honey. You're a hero. I walked around with holes in my shoes. I ate leftovers from the diner. I didn't buy myself a new piece of clothing for a decade. Meanwhile, Sarah was always resting. She couldn't work, obviously. The stress would kill her. But she needed things to keep her spirits up. Mental health is part of recovery, Dad would say, as he bought her a new iPad or paid for her to go on a wellness retreat to the coast with her friends. I need the sea air, Sarah would tell me, looking tanned and relaxed while I looked like a zombie. It helps my lungs. I never questioned it. I was the dutiful daughter. I was the provider. I paid the rent for the apartment we moved into. I paid for Leo's school supplies because Dad said his pension was all going to Sarah's doctors. I was 22 when it started. I was 32 when I found out I was the punchline of a cruel joke. It happened last Tuesday. I came home early from the diner because of a burst pipe that closed the restaurant. The house was quiet. Mum was out shopping with Leo. I walked past Dad's home office. The door was slightly ajar. I heard voices. It was Dad and Sarah. They were laughing. Loud, belly laughs. "I can't believe she bought the special organic supplements excuse," Sarah cackled. "That was another $500 easy." "Hey, we needed to cover the spread on the game tonight," Dad replied. "I have a feeling about the Knicks. We're going to win it all back, sweetheart." I froze in the hallway. My blood turned to ice. Supplements? The game? I pushed the door open. Dad was sitting at his desk with a gambling website open on his laptop. Sarah was sitting on the edge of the desk smoking a cigarette, something a person with a lethal lung condition definitely shouldn't be doing. They both looked at me. The laughter died instantly. "Dad?" I whispered. "What are you doing?" "Sarah, you're smoking?" Dad slammed the laptop shut. "Honey, you're home early." Sarah was just trying to calm her nerves. But I saw it. On the desk, under a pile of racing forms, was a red folder. It was labeled Investment, Do Not Open. Something inside me snapped. The exhaustion of 10 years, the lost love, the lost youth, it all boiled over into a rage I didn't know I possessed. I lunged for the folder. "Don't touch that," Dad screamed, jumping up. But he was too slow. I grabbed it and ran to my room, locking the door behind me. Dad pounded on the door. "Open up! It's private financial business! You wouldn't understand." I opened the folder, and there it was. The truth, written in black and white ink. I opened the folder. My hands were shaking so hard I almost ripped the paper. I expected to see medical charts, blood test results, maybe letters from insurance companies denying coverage. Instead, the first thing I saw was a foreclosure notice dated 10 years ago. The reason listed wasn't medical hardship. It was failure to pay due to gambling liens. I flipped the page. There was a loan agreement from a predatory lender, one of those places that break your legs if you don't pay. My father had borrowed $50,000 the month Sarah supposedly got sick, and then the smoking gun. A printout of an investment portfolio called Alpha Crypto Ventures. It showed a deposit of $200,000, the exact amount of equity from our childhood home. The balance next to it read $0. They hadn't sold the house to save Sarah. They sold the house because Dad and Sarah had convinced themselves they were financial geniuses. They put every penny of our family's stability into a Ponzi scheme, and when it crashed, they panicked. But the lies didn't stop there. I found the credit card statements. August 12th, $3,000, the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas. That was the week Sarah was supposedly in intensive care at a specialist clinic. September 5th, $1,500, Saks Fifth Avenue. That was the day I sold my car to pay for her oxygen tank. October 20th, $500, VIP spa and wellness. That was the day I skipped lunch because I didn't have $5. I sat on the floor of my bedroom, surrounded by 10 years of receipts. They hadn't just stolen my money, they had stolen my life. Every extra shift, every missed party, every date I turned down, the breakup with the love of my life. It was all to fund their gambling addiction and Sarah's luxury lifestyle. Dad was still pounding on the door. "Open the door, honey. Let me explain. It's complicated. We were trying to win it back for you." "Win it back?" I whispered to the empty room. I took out my phone and took high-resolution photos of every single document. I emailed them to myself. I uploaded them to the cloud. I wasn't going to let them burn this evidence. Then I stood up. I wiped the tears from my face. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt cold. I felt dangerous. I unlocked the door. Dad stumbled in, looking sweaty and panicked. Sarah was standing behind him, looking annoyed rather than guilty. "Give me that." Dad lunged for the folder. I pulled it back. "Don't touch me. You don't understand," Dad panted. We made a bad investment years ago. We lost the house money. We didn't want to worry you. We thought if we could just get a little capital, we could trade our way back to being rich. We did it for you. We wanted to buy you a mansion. So you invented a fatal illness?" I asked, my voice flat. "You let me work myself to the bone for a decade." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Oh, stop being so dramatic. I do have health issues. I get migraines. And anxiety. Do you know how stressful it is to keep a secret like this? I suffered too." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was wearing a silk robe that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her skin was glowing from expensive facials. She didn't look sick, she looked pampered. "You went to Vegas," I said, holding up the statement. "When I was crying myself to sleep thinking you were dying, you were playing slots in Vegas." "It was a medical retreat," Sarah shouted. "The dry desert air is good for my condition." "And the handbags?" I asked. "Are Gucci bags good for your lungs? I needed retail therapy," she screamed. "You're so selfish. You act like a martyr, but you loved playing the hero. You loved being the good daughter. That was it. That was the moment the last shred of love I had for them evaporated." "You're right," I said quietly. "I was the good daughter, but the good daughter just died." I walked past them, down the hallway, and grabbed my keys. "Where are you going?" Dad asked, following me. "Don't go, we can fix this. Look, I have a tip on a horse race tomorrow. If you just give me your next paycheck, I swear we can double it." And I turned around at the front door. "I'm going to the police station." Dad's face went white. "What?" "Fraud," I listed. "Embezzlement. Theft by deception. I'm going to file a report. And then I'm going to a lawyer to see how I can evict you from this apartment, since my name is the only one on the lease." "You wouldn't," Sarah sneered. "We're family. You'd never send your own father to jail. Watch me," I said, and I slammed the door in their faces. I didn't actually go to the police station yet. I went to the one person I knew could help me, my ex-boyfriend Mark, the one I broke up with 10 years ago. He was a lawyer now. I had followed his career online, torturing myself with what could have been. I showed up at his office looking like a wreck. When he saw me, he didn't ask questions. He just listened. I showed him the photos of the documents. I told him everything. Mark sat back in his chair looking furious. This is monstrous, Chloe. This is financial abuse on a level I've rarely seen. They manipulated you into servitude. Can I get them out?" I asked. "I want them gone. I want my life back." "The lease is in your name?" Mark asked. "Yes. They have bad credit, so I signed everything." "Then they are technically guests," Mark said, a sharp smile forming on his lips. "And in this state, if they aren't paying rent, you can serve them with an immediate notice to vacate. But we can do better than that." "Better?" "We can sue them for restitution," Mark said. "We can freeze whatever assets they have left. And if Sarah has been collecting any government disability benefits based on this fake illness, that's a federal crime. We can leverage that." We spent the next 3 days building the case. I stayed at a motel so they wouldn't know what I was doing. My phone blew up with texts from Dad and Sarah, first begging, then threatening, then gaslighting. "Dad, you are destroying this family." "Sarah, I'm actually feeling really sick now. If I die, it's your fault." I didn't reply to a single one. On the 4th day, I returned to the house, but I wasn't alone. I brought Mark, and I brought 2 large men from a private security firm. I walked in. Dad and Sarah were eating pizza on the couch, watching TV. They looked comfortable. They thought I had run away. They thought I was too weak to do anything. When they saw me, Dad stood up, wiping tomato sauce from his mouth. "Chloe, thank God. Look, we need to talk about rent. It's due tomorrow." And then he saw the security guards. "What is this?" Sarah asked, standing up. "This," I said, throwing the eviction notice on the table, "the same moment we started this story, is the end of your free ride. If you've ever had someone take advantage of your kindness, let me know in the comments. Because I was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. Get out," I repeated. "Mark here has already contacted the district attorney regarding the disability fraud Sarah has been committing for a decade. He is very interested in her Vegas treatments." Sarah's face dropped. She knew. She knew if this went to court, she wasn't just losing a house, she was going to prison. "You didn't," Dad whispered. "I did," I said. "You have 5 minutes to grab your clothes. Anything you bought with my money stays here. The TV? Stays. The iPad? Stays. The designer coats? They stay. I'm selling them to recoup a fraction of what you stole. You can't leave us homeless," Dad cried. "It's snowing outside. You should have thought about that before you gambled away my future," I said coldly. "Security, start escorting them out." Sarah tried to grab her jewelry box. The security guard gently, but firmly, took it from her hand. "That stays, ma'am," she screamed. She cried. She threw herself on the floor in a tantrum that would shame a toddler. But I just watched. I felt nothing. Finally, they were on the sidewalk, 2 suitcases between them. The neighbors were watching. I stood in the doorway looking down at them. "Chloe, please," Dad begged. "Where are we supposed to go?" "I hear the Venetian in Vegas is nice this time of year," I said. "Maybe you can win the room rate back at the tables." I closed the door. I locked the deadbolt. And for the first time in 10 years, the silence in the house didn't feel lonely. It felt like freedom. But the story doesn't end there, because 6 months later, I got a call from a hospital. A real one this time. It was about my dad. I hesitated before answering the phone. The number was local, but I didn't recognize it. "Is this Chloe?" a nurse's voice asked. "We have your father Robert here. He's been admitted to the ICU. He's suffered a massive heart attack." I stood there, freezing in the middle of my new apartment, a beautiful place I bought with the money I saved in just 6 months of not supporting 2 parasites. Mark was in the kitchen, making dinner. We had started dating again. Life was good. "Is anyone with him?" I asked. "No, ma'am," the nurse said. "He listed you as his emergency contact. He was brought in from a homeless shelter downtown." I felt a pang of pity. Not love, but pity. I drove to the hospital, not to save him, but to see the end of the story. When I walked into the room, I barely recognized him. My father, who used to wear suits and pretend to be a big-shot investor, looked 20 years older. He was thin, grey, and hooked up to machines. He opened his eyes and saw me. "Chloe," he wheezed. "You came. Where is Sarah?" I asked. "Why isn't she here?" Dad let out a weak, pathetic laugh that turned into a cough. "Sarah left 3 months ago. The second the money ran out. The second we had to sleep in a motel. She found some guy online. A guy with a boat in Florida. She stole my social security check and vanished. She didn't even say goodbye." I nodded. It was exactly what I expected. Sarah only loved people she could use. When Dad became a burden instead of a bank, she discarded him just like she tried to discard me. "I'm sorry, Chloe," Dad whispered, tears leaking from his eyes. "I messed up. I lost everything. I lost the house. I lost your mum's respect before she died. And I lost you. I should have protected you, not used you." For a moment, I thought he had changed. I thought hitting rock bottom had finally humbled him. I reached out and touched his hand. "I forgive you, Dad," I said softly. "For my own peace, I forgive you." His eyes lit up. He squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "That's my girl," he said eagerly. "Look, Chloe, the doctors say I need rehab. I can't go back to the shelter. If I could just stay in your spare room, just for a few weeks, I could help around the house." I pulled my hand away as if I had been burned. The pity vanished instantly. He hadn't changed. He was still looking for a host. He was still looking for a soft place to land after destroying his own life. "No," I said firmly. "What?" He looked shocked. "But you said you forgave me. Forgiveness is about letting go of the anger," I explained, stepping back toward the door. "It doesn't mean I'm going to let the snake bite me twice. You are an adult, Dad. You made your choices. You chose gambling over your daughter. You chose Sarah over me. Now, you have to live with those choices. You can't leave me here," he cried, the heart monitor starting to beat faster. "I'm your father." "I know," I said, "and that's the only reason I paid for your treatment today, but once you are discharged, you are on your own. I suggest you call Sarah. Maybe she has room on the boat." I walked out of the hospital room and didn't look back. I never heard from Sarah again, but I did see a mugshot of her online a year later. She was arrested in Florida for credit card fraud. Apparently, the guy with the boat realized she wasn't sick either. As for me, I married Mark last spring. We have a small house, a dog, and a baby on the way. And the best part? We have a savings account that is actually growing because nobody is stealing from it. I still work hard, but now I work for myself. I learned that you can't choose your family, but you can choose to cut out the cancer before it kills you. Thank you for listening to my story. If you believe that family is about love and not DNA, hit that subscribe button. And if you think my sister was bad, wait until you hear the story on your screen right now. It's about a mother who faked her own kidnapping just to miss her son's wedding. You have to see it to believe it. Click now.